Good afternoon, friends. It is Jonathan Harmon with the J. Harmon Home Team, powered by Keller Williams, and this is Table Talk here at Spread the Positive Studios at Cedar Glade. I got my friend Trent over there. Hello, Trent.
Hey, Jonathan.
How are you today?
I'm good, man.
Good. We got Cammie the Wonder Dog.
Production assistant Cammie in the building.
Production assistant extraordinaire. She just got a haircut. She is looking fresh.
Fresh today.
Absolutely. Your head's looking mighty slick today as well, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Back at you.
Good. And I've got my friend Robert Stevens over here. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me today. I'm looking forward to our good conversation.
He, in true attorney style, he asked me earlier today for a list of questions to get prepped for this, and I just ignored him. So, because that's what I do. I'm definitely not an attorney.
Well, I shouldn't have been surprised, but we're going to do the best we can.
You definitely shouldn't have been surprised. You've known me a long time, man. But before we get started with Robert, I do want to give a shout out to my buddy Bryan Nale over at First Horizon Mortgage.
That's it.
I almost said the I word, but I didn't. But over at First Horizon, we went to the ribbon cutting last week, and it's looking awesome over there. And nothing has changed except the name on the email signature.
Nice.
You know. And
thank you, Brian.
That's right. Brian helps here with Spread the Positive, underwriting this show, and just helping Trent spread more positive, because we need that, don't we?
That is it, sir. That is it.
And what's the line?
Bring the light to what's going right.
We really should change it to shedding light on what's going on.
Why?
Because you like shed light on things.
Like
Robert sheds light on things all the time.
Yeah, well, I guess we can.
Let's not change it.
Hey,
I just need to
bring a light.
I just need to get with the program, don't I?
Just step it up.
Yeah. So if you're interested in helping spread the positive, let us know. We would love to talk to you about that. So that being said, my friend, how are you?
Everything's been going great so far today.
Yeah. So Robert, like many of the people that sit in that chair, wears a gazillion different hats. I've known you. Let's see, you're what, about 10, 12 years younger than me? Is that right?
I'm 36.
I'm 42. How many?
That's 6 years difference. So
that's it. It's only six.
Some quick math there.
And I don't math real well in the afternoon. So I thought it was more than that. I thought you were younger than that. Okay. Well, but we went to church together growing up, and Robert's been heavily involved in all things Smyrna and now all things Rutherford County for a very long time. And it's pretty cool to watch him from my perspective, and just all the things that you get into. You help spread the positive. I mean, that's what you do. And you go after the things that don't make sense, and you try to fix them, and just try to make our little community a little bit better every day. And it has been noticed by me and by lots of other folks. And so anyway, first I wanted to say thank you for all that you do. Now let's talk about all that you do. So Robert is the president of the Smyrna Rotary Club for how much longer?
3 months and 9 days.
But who's counting, right?
Nobody's counting except me, probably.
Right. So every past president that I've talked to, they're all like, they know exactly how much longer there is. And they usually take them a nice hiatus for a couple months afterwards, because it is rigorous, isn't it?
It's a lot more work than people imagine, but somebody's got to do it. And I compare it to a marathon.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're right here at the finish line, though, so we're going to finish strong.
That's right. That's right. So Robert was president during the last fish fry, and it was a very successful fish fry. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the fish fry in general? What is it? What do we do with it? And then your fish fry. How did it go?
So our Smyrna Rotary Club picked up the Lee Victory Fish Fry back in the early 2000s. Some of our Rotarians decided they wanted to continue that event on with a little bit different twist to it. So you had some people like Robert Mullins and Paul Lamb, Bally Reed, and then others like Mike Waller joined in to make the event grow over time. But that event has grown to be one of the biggest social events in Rutherford County. Mm-hmm. And it's also a fundraiser.
It is.
It's our club signature fundraiser each year. And we've given back over $1.7 million to the community.
I'm sorry, can you say that number one more time?
$1.7 million.
Holy moly. That is a lot of money. And this last particular fish fry we raised,
our gross was just over $200,000.
That is crazy. If that doesn't deserve an applause button, I don't know what. Thank you so much. Yeah. So all of that money, that was a long applause. That was a good one. Yeah. That money goes back into the community. Can you kind of elaborate on how that works?
Well, part of it goes to our Rotary endowment, which we use to fund scholarships. And then most of the rest of the money goes into nonprofits and community activities here in Rutherford County. So we do things like food banks, literacy programs. We help with homelessness and just all kinds of needs around the county. People apply for grants in August, and then our club board will decide how to allocate our proceeds, and we try to cover as many as we can.
And how many checks did we write this year? Wasn't it 18 or 17 checks?
It was 16 to 18. I can't remember the exact amount, but we were able to fund, a good number of the people that applied and to provide them with most of what they asked for.
Yep. It was, that's always a lot of fun, isn't it? So right after the fish fry, we let the dust settle for about a month, and then we start handing checks out. And it's cool because everybody that has written a grant or a grant request, that is, they come in that we give money to. We have a check for them. They have the big giant check, which is always fun for pictures. But they also take a second and they each get to tell our club a little bit about the organization. And I'll tell you guys, and this is just for the most part, it's kind of the north end of the county. There are a few that serve the entire county, that kind of thing. But there's a lot of good stuff going on, isn't there?
Oh, the amount of places that need help and they're doing good things for us is just staggering, and it grows every year.
It does. The last couple years, we've had kind of a laser focus out of our club on where a lot of those funds have gone. And I remember you particularly kind of started this push for a Rotary essentially gift back to the city or to the town and to the community. Why don't you elaborate on that a little bit?
Well, back in 2018, one of our members named Bill Hayes, who's deceased now, he brought the idea to the board of the Rotary Club helping the town of Smyrna build an all-inclusive playground somewhere in one of the parks. And we decided to take that project on. It started at $600,000 and it kind of grew and morphed into about 1.2 million.
I was going to say it doubled. Yeah.
Well, we added parking and the restroom facility and of course, construction costs were going up in that time too. Thank goodness we got it done before all of the issues that we're having right now.
Yeah.
But we were able to put together a group of community supporters and make that playground a reality.
And so when you say all-inclusive playground, elaborate on that a little bit. If you haven't been to visit this playground, the Freedom Playground, if you've not been to visit that, number one, let me just tell you, I've played on it personally, and it's a blast. It's a lot of fun, but it's got a special purpose. So talk about that.
So this playground is called Freedom Playground. It is designed so that anyone of any ability can use any of the pieces of equipment out there. So whether it's somebody with a physical disability, a mental disability, anybody can go out there and participate in all the activities.
So it's all ramped. So wheelchairs can roll around on it. Folks that have, crutches or some other type of assistance device to maneuver around can get there. And it's even pretty easy to transfer. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff going on. The instead of mulch, it's got what do you even call it?
It's kind of a rubber springy. I'm not exactly sure what you call
It's
that.
called
poured in place.
What is it?
Poured in place.
There you go.
Hey, pet and playground products.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah,
that stuff is expensive.
It is quite expensive.
No, it's very expensive, but it's really cool because we have our logo in there and it's got all kinds of different colors and things, but it's safe. If somebody falls down, it's not a hard like concrete that you fall on. It's kind of a springy, soft area. So
what'd you say?
Forgiving.
Yes, forgiving. But here's what's cool. So, Mr. Hayes had the idea. You took it and ran with it. The club absolutely embraced it. The town of Smyrna got behind it and put some funds in there as well. Christy Houston Foundation came in super strong for us, didn't they?
They did.
And all of a sudden, we've got traction with this thing, And what I love about it is how it's located at the
Lee Victory
Park. Sorry, I went totally blank. I was going to say Sam Ridley, and I'm like, that's not it. That's the road. But so now there's two giant playgrounds there. One that is specifically for all abilities. But what's cool is how did they integrate that and how that park has morphed kind of because of.
Well, the Jeff Coos Memorial is there on Sam Ridley, and this playground is actually right behind that. and that ties into the Freedom Playground. One is our Wings of Freedom fish fry. Two is it gives people freedom that may have disabilities.
Mm-hmm.
And then also a freedom theme with the military and the Jeff Koos Memorial. So,
and it's themed behind the jet. I mean, the colors are the same, which the colors happen to be our Rotary colors as well.
yes, it all tied together very well.
It was almost like it was meant to be, wasn't it?
It really was.
I know it. And now with the way that they've redesigned all that, that park is even more accessible as well. And it will get even more accessible when they tie that last little bit to go out into the roundabout.
And hopefully that opens up in the next couple of months.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So if you haven't been to Lee Victory Park recently, like when did it open? It was last year, right?
We opened it in May with the ribbon cutting or ground break or ribbon cutting.
Ribbon cutting. Yeah. So if you haven't been out there since last May, number one, shame on you. And number two, go check it out. It's awesome. I don't care if you live in Murfreesboro. It's worth the drive into Smyrna to check out this park. Would you agree?
And it is, and it's full all the time. There's always people out there using it.
And it's beautiful at night. Have you noticed that?
It is.
Have
It's
you
very
seen
well lit up. It looks great. It's a good looking playground.
It is a very good looking playground. So definitely go check that out. So let's shift gears a little bit. You are an attorney. You've been an attorney for how long now?
I'm in my 13th year of practice.
Are you serious?
I'm serious.
Man, you're getting old, dude.
I am getting old.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm looking for a little gray. There's a little gray right there.
I'm getting a few gray hairs in there. It's probably from all the stress.
Probably so. How did you choose? I mean, again, I've known you for a long time, but why did you go into law?
Well, I enjoy reading and writing and standing up for what I believe in, and those things just all kind of go together naturally.
Mm-hmm. And how did you, like, for those of us that have never done the law thing, how do you do that? What's the process for you to become an attorney?
So to get into a law school, you have to have a college degree from somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And then it does not have to be any kind of specific undergraduate degree. You don't have to have like a political science or a history degree. You can have math or accounting or all kinds of things.
Cammie.
Oh, Cammie's visiting with me here.
Yeah. Production assistants, making sure the guest is comfortable there.
But you have to have your 4-year degree, and then you take what's called the Lsat.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a standardized test for people that want to go to law school. And for me, that was one of the worst days of my life. I don't like standardized tests, but everything is really based on your Lsat score. And then once you get that back, you apply to schools and tell them what your Lsat score was and your GPA at your undergraduate, and they have some kind of factor they use to figure out whether you'll be a good student or not, or where you rank among the other applicants, and then you'll start getting
it's pretty
acceptance
competitive
letters or whatnot. Yes, it's a very competitive process.
Okay. Let's go this way. What are some common misconceptions about attorneys? Because much like real estate agents, there's lots of jokes that center around lawyers.
They do. People always give lawyers a hard time with jokes. And of course, I tell them the next time that they're in a jam to call their comedian when they need help getting out of trouble.
I love it.
They appreciate their lawyer when they need help.
Yeah.
They make fun of us the rest of the time. But one misconception is that lawyers make a ton of money. There are some out there that make really big bucks, but there's a lot of people out there that do public interest types of things that might not make much money.
Mm-hmm.
So not everybody's making $200,000 a year.
Sure.
And certainly not if you start your own business right out of school. So, people will call and they'll be like, "Will you take my case on for free?" And I'm like, "Well, if you can get the grocery store to give me free food this week and the gas station to give me free gas and get my mortgage payment, sure, I can do it for free."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Well, that's wrong. You can't do that." And it's like, well,
Exactly.
that's what you're asking me to do. Is to do your case for free. Oh, but lawyers make all kinds of money. Why can't you help me? And it's like, well, if I do help people, but you can only do so much. You can't save the world, is what one of my former assistants told me. And
right.
Sometimes you just have to say no to people and do the best you can. But there are attorneys out there that do pro bono work with Legal Aid Society, and attorneys do kind of spread that load among them. But one person can't do everything for everybody.
Right. Right. Yeah. And we have a pretty active Legal Aid Society here in Rutherford County, right?
We do. They do a great job. And I'm sure that they're probably stretched thin with all the people that are asking for help from them. So they probably can't take on every single thing that comes in the door too. So again, it falls back on the bar as a whole to do what you can.
Sure. Yeah. Wow. How many different, I guess, areas of law are there that somebody could kind of specialize in?
Well, in Tennessee, lawyers don't quote unquote specialize, but there's probably 20 to 25 different things. I mean, you got things you wouldn't even think of, like environmental law and I'm trying to think of like patent or intellectual law, the things that most people don't do. Most people think of law as like divorce and child custody, and then regular litigation for personal injury cases, and then criminal, and then like your wills and probate. Those are kind of the big 4 areas, but there's all kinds of things out there.
So it's interesting. You said that in Tennessee, people don't specialize. When you say that, you mean that the state doesn't recognize specialties?
There are a few things where you can become what's called a specialist, but it's not. I wouldn't tell somebody I specialize in this, even if I had gone and gotten accredited for that.
I got you. Okay. So that being said, is there any parts of the law that you really don't dabble in?
So I really don't do anything with a criminal or the personal injury. Now, I do the estate planning and probate, and then, of course, I do some of the family law, but those are my biggest areas. But most of the time, I don't touch the criminal cases or the personal injury cases.
Gotcha. Okay. Any particular reason that's just not your cup of tea?
It's hard to keep up if you do a bunch of different areas. You've got to keep current. You're charged with the standard of care of what is the law today. Well, if I haven't done a criminal case in 10 years and I take something on and I don't have a good understanding of what it is, then that could be a potential problem if the person's case gets messed up. So
that makes sense.
So I try to stay current in 2 or 3 things and really focus on that instead of try to do everything, because it's just too much to keep up with all of it.
For sure. Yeah. And real estate in a lot of ways is the same way. I basically don't do commercial real estate. In fact, when we went to lease this building, I hired a commercial real estate agent, just because it just wasn't, like you said, I don't keep current with it.
Sometimes if you know just enough, you can be dangerous and cause problems for yourself.
More dangerous than if you know nothing.
That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And there's also one of the things that I've learned, and I've learned it to some extent from you, but from others as well, is sometimes when you hire that expert, you hire them just to take that liability off of your own back and put it on someone else.
Well, sure. Yes, that's one of the reasons why people do hire lawyers.
Yeah. I don't want to be responsible for this. That's why I have an accountant. That's why, that's why I have an estate planner and all these other things. I don't want to be. That's not my specialty.
That's for sure. And sometimes it's better to pay a little bit of money and have somebody that really knows what they're doing take care of it for you, instead of trying to save your money and end up getting burned and cost them more to fix it later, which we see happen quite a bit.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. Pay the expert. One of the little catchphrases I heard is, how did it go? If you buy the best, you only cry once.
That is a good saying. I like that.
You cry because it was expensive, but you don't have to cry again.
Yep. If you don't have to worry about future problems, and it might be worth crying one time up front and just being done with it.
That's it. You like that, don't you? If you buy the best,
I like that too. I think I'm going to tell my clients that if they just go ahead and bite the bullet and just do this right the first time, it might be a little painful, but that's better than causing problems later that will cost more money, time, and stress to fix.
That's it. Talking sound bites. It's good for you, just so you know. Here's one for you in real estate. Are you ready? If I can smell it, I can't sell it.
Well, that makes sense. Yep.
Yeah. Or if you have to sleep on it, you might not get to sleep in it.
Okay.
How about that one?
You're not wrong.
I know. It's a good one. All right. So one of your other hats, we're going to set that one over, put the next one on. You are a county commissioner here in Rutherford County. And as such, you are pretty well plugged into the goings on at the county level. And I had a conversation with someone the other day, and I hope that you can kind of help me answer this. Why do we have a completely separate county government from the individual cities? Why does Murfreesboro have a mayor, Laverne has a mayor, Smyrna has a mayor, Eagleville has a mayor, and then Rutherford County has a mayor? How does that work? Is there duplication of services? Why do we have it structured that way?
Well, you have to go back to the state constitution first off. So it designates subdivisions of a state as counties and cities.
Okay.
So counties and cities exist at the will of the state.
Okay.
Now, the way our county operates is under the default law. There's several different ways a county can be established. We're under just the state's general provisions, but you can also have a charter. Like if the people decide they're going to write a charter and put it on the ballot, then that form of government can be established. And then you can also have a metro form of government, which is where the county and a city are consolidated into one one
Davidson, Nashville.
Davidson County. You got Moore County of all places is a
Right.
metro government. I think maybe
Trousdale.
Trousdale is a metro form of government.
At one point, Trousdale was the smallest metro in like the entire country or something.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, like 40,000 people or whatever that live in that county. This was late 90s. But at one point, they were the smallest metro in the entire U.S. I think it was before Moore County consolidated.
Okay. Well, what happens is you have counties that are set up under the state constitution, and then cities, if a group of people wants to incorporate a city, they get a charter from the state for that too.
Okay.
So that's the difference between the two. And the types of government that you have with a city or a county are different with the powers that are outlined for you. Like I said, ours is a default by what the state law says a county can or can't do. We'll have people that'll ask, why can't we do this? Well, the state law doesn't let us do that as a county. Well, why does the city get to do it? Well, it might be in their charter that was approved by the state.
Give me an example of that. What is something that the town of Smyrna can do that Rutherford County cannot?
So some of the cities have impact fees or different type of development fees than the county has. So the county can't impose something like that without state permission, but the city might have in their charter.
Our county does though, right?
Our county has now what's called the adequate facilities tax. For a long time, we had what was called the development tax, which was $1,500 per lot. Now it's $1 a square foot for whatever the residential unit is. So if you build
of the structure itself.
Correct. So if you build apartments, you pay $1 a square foot for each unit. If you build a 5,000 square foot house, you pay $5,000 for the adequate facilities tax. In the past, it was just $1,500 across the board for everybody.
Wow. So then if you built that apartment complex, it was $1,500.
Correct.
Or if you built a 1,200 square foot little house, it was $1,500.
Correct. And it was $1,500 for probably 20 years.
Oh,
there was no provision there for inflation.
Wow.
So we
left money on the table.
Well, when they set that thing up, nobody thought ahead for the future, and it was just capped at $1,500. Well, if the cost of building a school didn't increase over time, then that would have worked. But
sure,
the adequate facilities tax is something that the county switched. We got rid of the development tax, and went to the adequate facilities tax, which is $1 a square foot. And that's been something that we could have done years ago, but the commission just never wanted to change. I don't know if it was a fear of change or what, but we were able to get switched over into that this past year, and it will probably bring us $2 or $3 million more a year.
Well, and that addresses the question of, if I build a single family home or I build an apartment complex, they're very different. The impact on the county facilities, the roads, the everything really.
Oh, absolutely. When you have more and more people packed into one little area, then you need more services
more
there.
Schools, more fire, more whatever. Yeah.
But in like the town of Smyrna or city of Murfreesboro, they might be able to increase those if they chose to do that without having to go to the state first. And the county is just bound by whatever the state law says.
Gotcha. Okay. So what is the role of the county mayor as opposed to a city mayor?
So the county mayor is the chief executive officer of Rutherford County or a county, if you're talking about specifically
in our case,
ours.
Rutherford. Yeah.
So what that person does is to prepare a proposed budget each year. And then basically the mayor here is a department head. So the mayor does the hiring and firing of all the employees and the general services that are under the mayor's purview.
Gotcha.
Some of the county's general employees are under the sheriff or under like the register of deeds or county clerk. And those are all
School
constitutional officers. So they hire and fire with, under their own umbrella. The school board is a separate entity. And of course they do all their personnel issues and so forth. Their own budget over there, but the commission is the funding body. So they have to send their budget to us and we have to approve it.
Right. I got you. Okay. And so then the commission, tell me about the makeup of the county commission. Like how many commissioners are there? How does that work?
So Rutherford County has 21 commissioners. There's 21 districts throughout the county, and they're about equal in population. And every 4 years, all 21 commissioners are up for election, which is this year. And also,
so they're all up at the same time?
Everybody's up at the same time.
They don't stagger it?
If you use the default system like we use, then everybody's up at the same time. The mayor's up at the same time.
Oh, wow. So it's possible, not likely, but it's possible that on come election day, literally everybody that's in the main part of the county government can just change.
That is correct.
Wow. How do you do that? Like if that happened in a theoretical world, how would you do that? How would you continue that way?
Well, you'd have to hope that the employees, like the budget director and the other department heads, have the continuity and the experience to help the new people carry on and make good decisions.
That's kind of
County attorney-
scary, isn't it?
It really is. But now some of the places that have a charter, they could put in their charter that they have staggered terms, so that even number districts are up this year, and that odd number districts are up every other year. So that would help with continuity for sure.
Oh, that's crazy.
Not something we have an option to do though under the system that we use. So
Cammy, hit the road, Jack.
Come here.
She's especially playful today. So, I mean, she is pretty cute. She's cuter than either one of us.
Come on.
All right, there we go. Wow. I didn't realize that they weren't staggered. That's crazy.
now the school board and the road board are staggered.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it makes more sense to me to have it staggered just to,
If that were an option, it would be much more ideal.
hmm
So you have somebody there that's familiar with how everything works, and it's not a total turnover.
Yeah. So what, when you say districts, there's 21 districts, I think you said. Where, like, give me an example. What is the district that you're over right now?
So it's kind of the north and eastern part of Smyrna. It starts around Nissan, and it goes up to it goes all the way up to Weekly Lane up toward the lake, which is where I live, and
Mhm.
it has a little part of Laverne in it off Sam Ridley.
And you have to live in the district that you represent.
That is correct.
And you said, so land mass wise, like if you're Eagleville, Rockville, you're going to have a bigger geographic area, but the population should be roughly the same.
That's correct. And really the commissioners that represent rural areas have more work to do than the ones that represent areas inside municipal boundaries, because if somebody has a pothole in Smyrna, or if they want property rezoned in Murfreesboro, they call their council member.
Sure.
Well, if you live out in Milton, or if you live out in an unincorporated area like Leanna or Rockvale or somewhere
Mhm.
like that, then you don't have a city council.
Mm-hmm.
So your
Mhm.
county commissioner is your city councilman. So you call that person if you need help with rezoning, or if you have an issue with, whatever county thing. So
let me ask you this. So this is an election year. What are the top 3 things if I'm sitting wherever and thinking about who I'm going to elect from my district where I live? What are the top 3 things that the county is facing, from your opinion, that the county is facing that we should hear a solution from for whoever's running?
I think first and foremost, we have to consider our growth.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not as easy of a thing to fix as people might make it sound like. I've thought for years we need to get all the cities in the county together and come up with like a common vision of what we want the county to look like.
Mm-hmm.
People get really upset about apartments coming in. Well, some people need an apartment to live in, but do we want to keep building hundreds and hundreds of new apartments, or do we want to have only single family dwellings? Do we want to have townhome? I mean, we need like a common vision on what we want the county to look like, and try to get everybody to follow it.
Sure.
Right now, if Murfreesboro decides that they're going to approve a development with 1,000 houses, then Rutherford County is stuck with figuring out where to put all the kids in school.
How do we school them? Yeah.
Right. So I've thought for a while it'd be helpful if we had a comprehensive plan with everybody.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's one.
But getting that done is going to be difficult. Of course, with the growth itself comes, then you've got to have schools, and you've got to have more police officers, sheriff's deputies, and you've got to have.
When was the last time that we actually had enough classroom space?
Oh, I can't tell you. Since I've been on the commission, there's always been portable classrooms, and it's like
I
whack-a-mole.
mean, it's been-
you build a school over here and get rid of the portables here, and
Yeah.
then the more people moving into another area.
Robert, it's been like that since I was in school.
Yep. If you're in a growing county, it's going to be really hard to catch up and build enough classrooms to get rid of all the portables.
Is it possible? Like, realistically, is it possible for us to get to a point where we actually get ahead of the growth in schools? And if so, I mean, are we talking about $2 billion? Are we talking about?
Well, I have no idea what the cost would be. I mean, anything is possible, but the question is, are people going to be willing to pay for it?
Right.
And so it would be a very difficult sell, I think, to tell people out in the public that you want to increase their property taxes because you want to build more schools in anticipation of the growth. Now, some people might go for that.
Sure.
But,
Well, and you always have the person that says, well, my kids have already finished school, or I don't have kids, or whatever, and legitimate questions. The flip side of that, I've always said, is, but everybody benefits from better educated kids. Everybody.
Well, sure. Having a great school system in your community benefits you because you're going to have better employers, more opportunities, and things like that.
Better
So
property values. Schools drive property values.
Now we do have people that say I'm 75, I'm 80, I've paid my dues, I shouldn't have to pay taxes anymore, and that person may not use as many services as somebody that's in their 40s with 3 kids, and that's a valid point.
It is.
And I'm not sure how you balance that. I don't have an answer for the best way to approach that, but growth is definitely the biggest thing. Another issue is traffic. We've got to figure out some way to integrate our cities and county again with some kind of comprehensive plan on how we're going to move all these people around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I tell people all the time, Murfreesboro is 30 minutes from Murfreesboro.
Well, it really is. And Smyrna, depending on what time you leave, it might be 45 minutes from Murfreesboro, or it might be 20 minutes from Smyrna to Smyrna. So again, I don't have the answer on how we handle that, but we know that people are coming here, and we're really not building more roads to help move these people around. So it's going to be.
Well, then you question, even if you did, are more roads actually the best solution?
Well, if you build more roads and have more opportunity for development, then that might bring in more subdivisions, more
traffic,
more businesses. So I don't know what the residual effect of that would be, but there's been an effort in the past to have some kind of a regional transportation system that's hooked in with something that Nashville might do, and of course that's going to cost a lot of money, and I don't think people are going to go for that.
I can't even imagine how to do that correctly. I can't imagine how much it would
I don't
cost.
think most people are going to be willing to pay the cost for what that requires to build it all.
Yeah, well, and put up with the headache while it's being built.
Sure.
I mean, think about that. That's, you forget, it's going to be better when it's done. Well, what if it takes 15 years, which is entirely possible? Look at how long Bradley Parkway took. Good gracious.
Absolutely. So that's another big concern. And I think our solid waste is a huge issue. We're going to have to figure out long-term, what are we going to do with our waste?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big one.
For 25 years, we've used the Middle Point landfill, and Rutherford County and the city of Murfreesboro have been able to dump all their trash there for free.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, part of that deal that was made back in the 90s was that the owner of the landfill could bring in other communities' trash too, and charge them for that. And of course, Rutherford County gets a little cut of that, which has not increased in a while, is my understanding.
Mm-hmm.
But when you bring in 25 or 30 other counties and cities' trash to your area, there's trucks burning up the roads all the time, and it creates all kind of residual problems out there with smell and litter everywhere. It's just not something that's needed right in the middle of this population.
Yeah, it's certainly a problem. And then even if you figure that out, you still got to figure out what to do with what's there already.
Well, absolutely. And then where do we take our trash if we decide this one's not going to be best for us in the future? We're going to decide to take it somewhere else. Well, what is the answer to that? How far away does it have to go, and how much is that going to cost for the shipping? Because right now we're not paying anything to take our trash over there. And then if we decide we're going to take it 2 hours away to a landfill and who knows where, Tennessee or elsewhere, now we've got to, in addition to having the transportation cost, we've also got to pay the tipping fees to take the trash there too. So it's going to cause an increase in the cost.
That's a big thing. And the proverbial can has just been kicked down the road for a long time.
It has. And I think that the day of reckoning is upon us.
It's close.
I think we're going to have to figure out something pretty quick. We've got a solid waste committee on the commission that's been studying all kinds of options. They opened it up for bids from literally all over the world for people that were interested in proposing ideas on how we should handle our waste. And they've kind of culled that down to a few. And I'm honestly not sure what the latest is with that, since I'm not on the committee, but it's a major issue. The Middle Point landfill has about 6 to 8 years left of lifespan on it. So if it ends up closing and we don't have a plan, then what are we going to do? So
it's going to get real smelly around town real fast.
We're going to have to figure some plan B out sooner rather than later, because otherwise, the only option is to haul it somewhere else, which is going to take more drivers, more trucks, more gas costs. It's
I remember, Murfreesboro's had municipal trash pickup for a long time. And I remember when they started charging for it, all of a sudden it was free. It was paid in your property taxes.
Yeah, nothing's free.
Right, so. Exactly. But they started charging for it separately, or additionally, I guess, on your water bill. And people lost their freaking minds over paying, I don't even remember what it is now, $12 or whatever a month for that. But you can't get a trash company. You can't get Republic themselves to come pick your trash up for $12 a month.
So I'm not familiar with what they did. I think I do remember reading about that in the paper, but they were going to impose some kind of fee. But I don't live in Murfreesboro.
It might not even be that much. It might be $6 a month. It's cheap, whatever it is. But I can't imagine what it would go up to if we got to start hauling it away.
Well, it's definitely going to be an increase in cost. And of course, then you've got to weigh that with what's the benefit for the community, that we're not going to have all the trucks coming here anymore, and we won't have the smell and all the litter, from all the trucks that are flying through our community. So, that cost will also have some benefits with it too. And the public will have to decide, what do they want more? Do they want the increased cost, or do they want, the convenience of having it here? I think from what we're hearing, that they want the trash to go somewhere else. It needs to be somewhere with a smaller population.
Yeah. And even then, I mean, altruistically, you look at that and you're like, but now we're talking about putting a landfill somewhere else. Right.
Well, sure. One of my constituents had a great idea, and it was for the state to use some of their $2 billion surplus. And it takes about $20 million to prep a landfill. But if the state would find a mega site somewhere that could serve multiple counties, in a place that didn't have much population, near a, main highway somewhere, then if they seeded that and partnered with somebody like Republic or a third party that would help take on the cost and prepare this thing, then everybody could take their trash there to this place that's away from people.
Yeah, but I mean, ultimately, that's still a temporary solution.
Well, it is. I mean, if something like that opened, it could stay for 20 or 30 years, and you'd have to find somewhere else to go.
That's right.
But everybody wants the landfill. They all want the convenience center, but nobody wants it in their backyard. And you've got to look at, this county's growing so much. Our population's going to just keep booming for the next 10, 20 years. It's just not the place to have a landfill like this. It probably needs to be somewhere where there's not much of a population.
Yeah. I don't disagree. It's just, what is that? NIMBY, right? Not in my backyard is the thing.
Well, for sure. And that's, if the people that want us to shut down the Republic one and put it somewhere else, well, where I'm always interested in where they think it should go.
Right.
It's always over there.
Right. Yeah.
Not on my end of the county. Put it on the other side of the county. And of course, there's not a lot of properties left in Rutherford County where you could even build something like that.
No.
So it's going to have to go in a place that's farther out and away from the population for it to work.
Yeah. Fun times, man. Civilized population. You got to love that, right?
Yes. It's a balancing act with everything.
Yeah, for sure. All right, man. We're about out of time. Anything else that you'd like to speak about? Any other projects, anything that I've left out?
I think we've about covered everything that I've worked on. So it's been an honor to be the Rotary Club president this year, and to be an officer for the past few years, and to see our big project come to fruition, and also with all the great success we've had with our fish fry, which, by the way, the kickoff for that's going to be soon. This year, we're honoring Teachers of the Year.
Oh, yeah.
So in Rutherford County. So we got to kind of limit that a little bit.
Yeah.
Teachers have had a difficult time with the COVID pandemic. So
for sure.
The core committee decided that would be who we honor this year.
That is awesome. So if you don't know what we're talking about, every year at the fish fry, we honor a historically it's been military for the most part, but then we've also had first responders that have been honored, and now we're throwing in teachers. That is super cool.
Teachers of the Year.
Exactly. Yes. That is very, very cool. So those of you that are teachers of the year, get ready. You'll be invited, I guess, and we'll work through all of that. So, and throw this out there, we have our, they call it a BHAG, right? Big, hairy, audacious goal, is 220,000
is what Jason Surratt's goal is for this year. So.
200. So 20,000 more than we raised last year. And if you want to sponsor the fish fry, it is never too early to throw your name in the hat.
That's
right?
correct. And there's going to be some exciting changes this year to the overall format, so people should start paying attention. We'll have our campaign kickoff for that soon to start raising the money, getting the commitments together. But we want this to be the biggest and best year we've ever had. And this will be the 20th annual event too.
It is, isn't it? Yeah, that's right. So mark your calendars. It's
September 10th.
I was going to say, it's always the Saturday closest to September 11th. And it's out at the Smyrna Airport. John Black and all those folks out there, and Contour. Sorry, I couldn't come up with the word.
No, Azure Flight.
Azure. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. They hosted in their hangar there, and it's going to be awesome.
It's going to be a big year. So,
yeah, very good. All right. Well, if you have any questions for Robert, put them in the comments. I'll make sure he gets that and he can get back to you on those. If you are interested in sponsoring the fish fry, also get with Robert or Jason or myself and Jason Surratt over at First Bank. And we can help you with that. If you are interested in helping spread the positive, you need to get with Mr. Trent Denson. There is nothing better than getting publicity doing good stuff. Isn't that right?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Great answer there, Trent. Thank you for enlightening us on that. So you can do all kinds of good by sponsoring the fish fry and sponsoring Spread the Positive, or both.
Yeah.
Or both. We should come up with a package deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here for it.
We'll work on that.
Yep.
So that's about it. Thank you guys. If you have any real estate needs, give me a shout. If you have any mortgage needs, give Bryan Nale a shout. And if you want to help spread the positive, give Trent Denson a shout.
Thanks, man.
That's it.
Great
Have a great
episode.
rest of the
Thank
week.
you, Robert.
Thank you.